The Auburn Tigers survived the transfer portal, and I think they even got a little bit better. Let's talk about it on this live edition of the Uptempo podcast.
You are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
Auburn family, let's go, man. I hope everybody is blessed. Happy Sunday. We don't do these Sunday evenings a lot, but it just worked out this way for us. Dustin Smith here with you. I'm with my guy, Blake Lane. And Blake, how are you doing tonight, my guy?
I'm doing great. I hope everybody had a great weekend, and it's been blessed around my part. So had a great little Sunday with the family, the two kids and the wife, and anytime we get to talk about Auburn sports, Dustin, it's a great day. And I want to give a shout out to the Auburn softball team. Taking down the Gumps, all right? Taking 2 out of 3. The ladies showed up and showed out. I wish that baseball team could do something like that, but it's just not in the cards this year. So it's been a heck of a weekend, Dustin.
Yeah, for sure. As always, man, they make it a point to tell us every time they beat us, so I'll say it here. Go to hell, Alabama. Go to hell. That's where you belong. So, yeah, good on the ladies, man. And look, they could have mailed it in, Blake. They could have mailed it in, but they're still out there. They're still playing hard. You know, you find out in the middle of the season that your coach is not going to be there next year. It could have went a certain way, but they decided to play hard all the way to the end, and I respect the hell out of that from a competitive standpoint. So good on them, man. It's always good to beat the Tide. But listen, the transfer portal cycle has come to a close, and like I alluded to in the intro there, I think we kind of survived it, Blake, and that's where
Yep.
I want to start is by saying, hey, in this day and age, a big part of it is keeping your key pieces, and I think that we'd all kind of agree that Jay Fair was probably the biggest loss, and I think he fits better in that offense, so I think it works for him. I'm not mad at him. I understand, he's going to see more balls that way, so go out there and do your thing. I'm pretty sure that they took care of him NIL wise and all that, so I wish nothing but the best for him. So I'm not taking a shot at him by saying he didn't even have 400 yards last year, but just because a lot of that has to play into just the offense that we ran, I think he's better than 400 yards. But all in all, man, like production wise, that's the most that you lost. And then everything else, you look at it and you just say, yeah, we can survive that, and then you look at what you brought in the wide receiver. Like if I would have asked you before, will you trade Lambert Smith and Robert Lewis for Jay Fair, you would take that trade if you were just using your head, not your heart, right? So I think that we came out okay. But Blake, let's do this, man. I'm gonna start with you. Let's give a letter grade, and this is how I want to view this from. Clock strike 0 in Nashville. Okay.
Yep.
End of the season. Rivaldo Fairweather says what he has to say. We obviously came on here and definitely spoke our minds from that moment. Because there's been multiple portal cycles, so I'm not going to get on that soapbox tonight how ridiculous. But by my understanding, it's all done now. We know what it's supposed to be. I mean, we got some guys that we're the linebacker from South that we're still trying to pull in, right? But we know who's not going to be on the Auburn's team. We know who has left, decided to leave, and all that. And for the most part, we know what we brought in. So from when that clock struck 0 in Nashville, Blake, to where we are now, how would you give a letter grade to Hugh Freeze and his staff of what you think they've done through the portal?
I think it's a B+, Dustin. I'm going B+, and the only reason I'm not going to go with an A or an A+, it could bump up to an A if you get the linebacker from South Alabama. But you didn't get that guy. And like we were talking about before we started recording, who is there that guy in the portal though? So I'm going to go with a solid B+. I think you addressed every position that you needed, and I think the home run here is you recruited your team back to your roster.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing in the game today now is everybody talks about these coaches are leaving because they're tired of having to recruit the high school kids, then recruit the portal, and then, oh, by the way, we got to do exit exams, and here you go. Hey, I want you to stay, but I understand if you don't want to stay, if you want to go hit the transfer portal, but I'd really love you to stay. And then they say, well, yeah, I'll stay. And then up 2 days later, they're in the portal, or the kid's like, hey, coach, I'm entering the portal. And then 3 days later, he's back on the roster. So it's a whirlwind, all right? And you recruited your roster to come back to you. Now, losing Jay Fair, yeah, it hurts because I think everybody loved Jay Fair. It hurt a little bit. It stung. But you look at what you brought in, and Robert Lewis has already showed you that. Keandre Lambert-Smith, the tape is there. You see what he's going to bring to the table. You address the offensive line. That left tackle spot, you went and got a guy that has played in your league and has been really good in this league. So everything on offense, you addressed. Yeah, we've got young receivers coming in. Yeah, they're going to have to produce early. But you went out and you got a couple guys that are also veterans. They score touchdowns. They move the chains. They catch balls on third downs. Keandre Lambert-Smith, a chain mover. Is he going to blow the top off of it? He's got a couple of explosive plays on tape, but he's a chain mover. And so I think you addressed all that. And then bringing the kid in, Jaron Thompson from Texas at safety. We know what we lost at safety. All right? You had 2 seniors. They're out now. All right? And you had to address that position. And you went and got a guy that's played big-time college football. He's been a playmaker. He showed out in Tuscaloosa last year. Picked off Jalen Milroe last year in T-Town. So, look, you made that adjustment at the safety position. I'm not really, DBs, look, out on the corners, I'm not really worried. Colton Hood, yeah, it stung. It was, why did he leave? We were questioning ourselves, it stung a little bit. But you look down in the trenches and you look at linebacker and you went and got dudes and you needed the depth. And you went and got those guys once again that have played a lot of college football. They've played in big time games. One guy's familiar with your DC. And so the gel is there, the glue guy is there. That's why I'm so high on this roster. I agree with your intro. I think we're better. I do. And I know everybody's going to come in here. They're going to say, well, Blake, we got to prove it on the field. Just look at where we were at, though. All right, sitting in that second quarter against Maryland, I mean, it looked like a disaster. We're sitting here, hey, man, we lost to New Mexico State. We lose a heartbreaker the way we did to Alabama, and now we're getting thumped by Maryland. And I think it's been nothing but to the top since. Hugh, he did it in the high school ranks. He recruited his tail off. And then you go into the portal and you do what you did there. I think it's nothing but positivity, and yeah, your roster got better. And, now I start hearing people talk more and more, Dustin, about, look, is Auburn going to be that team? Is Auburn going to be that team? Can they get to that 8-win mark? Now you're starting to hear, hey, they've got a game better, maybe 2 games better. Can they start getting to that 9-win mark? If we go 8-4, I'm ecstatic. All right. If we go 9-3, if Auburn takes this roster and goes 9-3, folks, watch out. Watch out. I think if you get to 9 wins, I think it's up, man. I think Auburn could potentially, these kids are going to want to flock in. You're going to get a top 5 recruiting class, and the playoffs have to be on the table then. Not for this season, but moving forward into 2025, the playoffs have to be on the table. And then I think anything, you don't make the playoffs in 2025 if you do get to 9 wins. If you didn't make that, then I think it would be a little bit of a failure, Dustin, because you'd had that little setback of, well, we went from 6-7 losing to Maryland, we win 8-9 games, and then 2025 was supposed to be that year. So I think it's on the up, and I think Auburn is on the cusp, man. Like, I know, we don't want to get on here and just straight bug, all right? I think we're better. I do. I think we're better. And when you look at that schedule, the way it lays out, there's opportunities there. There's opportunities. If you can get through that stretch, and you can beat Oklahoma and maneuver your way through that schedule, there's opportunities to win games on there. So I like what Hugh's doing. Shout out to Marcus Davis at the wide receiver position. Straight dog. I know a lot of people questioned that when he first got hired on. He has killed it. He's coaching them kids up. They relate to him. I love what he's doing there. We already know what's happening on the defensive side of the ball. So I'm dang proud of this staff, Dustin.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said there, and I'll say I think a big thing too, man, is that we created bridges. So
Yep.
like we all know that we signed talented defensive linemen in TJ Lindsey and Malik Blockton. We know that Cam Coleman and Perry Thompson and Bryce Kane and Malcolm Simmons are the best wide receiver class that Auburn's ever pulled in.
Yep.
They're still freshmen. And for all the high praise that I've heaped upon Cam Coleman, there will be moments where he makes freshman mistakes. There will be
Yep.
games where you look up and he's got 3 catches for 38 yards, and you're like, well, he's a freshman. And this is the SEC, boys, big boy football. So it's going to happen. And I just think that when you like looking at wide receiver, when you bring in KLS and Robert Lewis, I really think, man, bringing in Lambert Smith, it feels like because now they're going to put Robert Lewis in the slot where they wanted him to be all along. You can kind of do what you want to do with Caleb Burton at that point, and then everyone else's roles are defined. It feels like the addition of Lambert Smith kind of put the whole wide receiver room where it needs to be. It feels like it put everybody in position. Now everybody kind of is where they belong. So 2 big additions right there, and Robert Lewis and Lambert Smith. You bring in 2 receivers that you combined, they had over 1,300 yards last year. If they sniff that, like then big plus for you. If those guys can just get over 500 yards apiece, man, like mission accomplished in my opinion. Because you had around 1,700 yards out of PT last year. If I get 1,000 out of this 2 portal additions, cool. And then those guys don't have a lot of eligibility left. Lambert Smith's on his last year. I believe Robert Lewis is too. So that just gives you, it's perfect. It's just a nice little bridge. I'm bringing in some guys that got some experience. I'll let my freshmen get some burn. And then next year, we'll be able to turn it over to them. And that's why maybe when it comes time to give our predictions way, way down the road in the fall for what the record's going to be, Auburn's probably gained a game.
Yep.
Since Nashville. And it's really because of the experience that you added. Like, I don't think that Philip Leedy is going to be a world beater, man. And I don't think that that Trill Carter and the kid Rakes from A&M are going to come in and be just kill it like that. But they're solid guys that you can depend on, and they've played big time football. And TJ Lindsey can get his reps, and I don't have to rush him in now. And Malik Blockton can get his reps, and I don't have to rush him in now. And is Bleedy and those guys, are they better than Malik Blockton and all them? No. Like just putting them up to each other when those guys' careers come to an end, and you know what I'm saying? Like you're probably the 4 and 5 stars will probably end up being 4 and 5 stars, right? But you just give yourself some time. You give yourself some time, man, to where you can kind of where you're not just. I mean, I was so worried. I was like, bro, are we going to be playing 3-4 freshman defensive linemen on like a drive? Like, is that going to be a thing? Because it was looking that way. You go and get Karon Crawford. You're hoping that he can give you 5-6 sacks from that edge position. A healthy Jalen McLeod would just be huge when it really gets to getting after the quarterback. But I just, all in all, man, I think that. I'm going with the B because I think it's kind of like the highest grade you can give. Just because the A, y'all know how me and Blake both are. Like, you got an A.
I want a bug.
Yeah, and A would be you just going and stealing. Cam Ward would be what gets you to an A, right? So like I'm not being like too harsh here. I like that would be my only thing is that I don't know if you really got a big game changer like that. But you got a whole bunch of solid guys that you can build it around. And there's, like we said, there's not a lot of game changers in the portal.
Yeah.
So I think you did what you could. And I think that the haul on defensive line is really impressive. And then Percy Lewis, man, like if he can come in and start 12 games to tackle and give you SEC caliber play at that position, then like obviously that's huge. And that can make a big difference for PT because, I go back and look at that New Mexico State game and everyone wants to be so hard on PT. Well, brother, our O-line got smashed versus New Mexico State. Okay. So, like, Percy Lewis could be a big part of that as well. And I think the offensive line is going to take a big jump. Let's get in here, man, and get some of these comments, yo. Yeah, look, so I'll adjust this real quick, Tim. I see. No, listen. This is not wasn't planned this way. Like, y'all know that we go live on Tuesday and Thursdays, and just situation worked out this week to where, hey, this was the only time that we had to get in the second episode. So we're not normally going to be going live at this time, and get over there and check those guys out at the college loop and everything they got going on. It's definitely not intentional at all. We literally just realized it as we went to hit record. And then look, Josh Pace on tonight too. The guys over at Auburn Live are going on tonight. Sunday's not a night that we want to do. Okay. So this is a rarity. Y'all can catch us on Tuesdays and Thursdays most of the time for sure. Let me get this banner off real quick. And I got some Beast Mode is in here and says eat, sleep, War Eagle, repeat. I like that cycle. That's a good cycle. Lawrence is saying what's up. He's in the building. Daniel, I got to give you a shout out, my guy, because I'm in here last night, Blake, and I'm doing some editing for the show today, and I see a comment pop up, and I'm like, what? This thing's not even going live till tomorrow at 6. Our guy Daniel was in here already, giving out War Eagles 24 hours in advance, man. Appreciate you, brother. Yeah, your support means the world to us. James is in the building. Kyle is checking in from South GA. We appreciate you, brother. My guy, Auburn Dad, I saw your comment today underneath the video on the War Report, and just want you to know, brother, I'm praying for you. Prayers have already been shot up to the big man. Hope everything works out in that situation, my guy. Like I said, Tim is in here. And then Lawrence says, I think you guys should come back in December and give another grade based off production too. He does like the B+ grade though. This is a fair point, Lawrence, because we were all booging really hard right after last portal cycle. We were, man, Jair Schulter had 21 catches and 11 of them were touchdowns. This guy's a touchdown machine.
That's a fact.
That didn't happen. Nick Marner, 6'10", guys. He's gonna come in and just go crazy. Didn't exactly work. So, but I would say that the strategy had to be a little bit different this year. Like I think Hugh Freeze had to be so portal heavy last year. And just to fill out a roster, just to fill out rooms, he had to do it that way. And then I think that he learned his lesson, man. I think that he got a lot of those guys in here and said, whoa, I've got mercenaries. I don't have a whole lot of guys that want to ride for the brand. And a couple losses pile up. And boy, look over at that baseball team right now. You gotta get guys that are bought in, man, through the whole thing. Because you're gonna lose, you're gonna go through things like, this team's not gonna go undefeated next year. Let's say they start out 5-0. They're gonna be hyped, bro. They're gonna be in their head, it's SEC title, like we're all that stuff, which they rightfully should be. And then let's say you come out and you lose to Georgia, and let's say you come out and lose 2 of the next 3 that on those roads, that tough road stretch. So you got Missouri, Kentucky, Georgia, all on the road after that game 5 versus Oklahoma, and then all of a sudden you're sitting there at 5-2. Do you mail it in, or do you finish strong and finish 9-3, 8-4, and stay competitive? That'll be kind of where we find out if this program has really taken the next step psychologically. And there's something, until the bullets start flying. But I would just say that the guys that you brought in with a portal, I like the fact that the majority of them, there's not a whole lot of eligibility left there. So if it doesn't work out, it's whatever. It's Hugh views it very much like a Band-Aid at this point. He wants to build it up through high school. But hey, if there are spots that I can fill it out at, because you know why there was a big hole at defensive line this year? Because you haven't recruited defensive line at the high school level like an SEC team should. And you got to layer your depth, right? And that's something that Gus Malzahn didn't even do. Like, we can go back years Auburn has not been good at layering depth. And if you don't know what that means, it's looking at your board, and it's harder now with the portal. I'll give these coaches that. But looking at your board and saying, okay, and this year, this many guys are out, and this many years, this guys are out. We got to have these numbers kind of evened out a little bit. Definitely hasn't happened for Auburn at the line of scrimmage. It's just been whatever the hell. Drafting tackles, defensive tackles, and trying to make them offensive tackles, or just start doing all kind of stuff. I think you're kind of starting to see some stability there, and now it's just we got to get to these guys. I mean, we got a kid right now still got to play a senior year in high school, but and Jordan Crawford. I mean, Charlie Five talked about it with us a couple of weeks ago, right? Like, this kid is just a certified dog. I'm telling y'all, you can read the articles, right? Like, they're telling y'all that Malik Blockton is the truth. This kid is the real deal. But it just takes time, man. It takes time in the trenches. So I like going out and getting a kid that started in the Big Ten in the Philip Blitz. And before that, it was at Texas Tech, right? So he's played nothing but Power 4. Got to get used to saying that. The Pac-12 is no more, bro. Power 4 football. You mentioned Rakes with the familiarity with DJ Durkin. And, man, if he can give you 25, 30 snaps a game, that's huge, man. That's absolutely huge. So all in all, man, I go B+. I like what we did here. And I like Lawrence's point. Let's kind of revisit it and see how they did, because most of your portal additions last year were whiffs, but not all. I mean, you got guys like Rivaldo and all that kind of stuff. So it'll be fun to come back and see how they did. And I think some of those guys like a Gage Keys, he's probably going to get passed up kind of quick, because some of those guys, man, are just dogs. Like, I'm not trying to take shots, right? But you just brought in depending on where you look, the 6th to 7th ranked class, the highest ranked class that Auburn's had in a long time. So it's going to be fun to watch at what point does the talent of these young kids start to overtake the experience of the older portal additions. But all in all, Blake, I think you added wins to your roster, and that's all you can do, man. And you're not in some big, stupid NIL deal with somebody, right? It's you guys that don't have a lot of eligibility. I like it, man. I like what we did.
Look, I'll start with I'll kind of revisit the wide receiver position and the Jair Shorter and the Shane Hooks and all that stuff. One thing I think Auburn really hit home this year with this is you go get 2 proven guys that have been dominant. And this doesn't allow your tight end and Rivaldo Fairweather to be your main target. You got Cam Coleman, all right? You got Perry Thompson on the way. It doesn't allow you to have to be in 12 personnel all the time. You got guys at that position now. Keandre Lambert-Smith, look, he's played in the granddaddy of them all. He's played at Penn State. He's played big time. He's produced. All right, he had touchdown against Utah. All right, there's tape there. The guy, he's a dog. I don't care, what's said about him on other podcasts. He puts up numbers. All right, so it's you went out and got guys to make it easier on Peyton or whoever's quarterback. You don't have to line up with 2 tight ends on the field, and you got guys that you can spread the ball around and get it to them to make life a little easier. And then, hey, when you're in the RPO stuff and teams don't, look, they're not going to know that you're running the football 80% of the time this year. All right. I think it just makes life a little easier for this offense that you got guys that can go up and get the football. It's you go back and turn on the film a lot last year. You look at defenses and the way that they were coming down into the box on us. They were daring us. They said, hey, Auburn doesn't have a guy that can beat us. They did not. I'm not going to say they did not. They knew we didn't have a guy that could beat them. They knew we couldn't blow the top off. So they said, hey, look, we're going to stack this box. We're going to bring our safeties down into the box, and we're going to make you throw it because we know you can't. Because your main guy is Rivaldo Fairweather, who's a tight end. We were handicapped. We had our hands tied behind our back last year. I think you're in a much better position with Robert Lewis. Guy caught 80 balls last year, man. It's there. It's there. If we stay healthy, you got playmakers, man. Perry, everybody. Look, you can say Perry, it's going to take him a little bit of time. I think Perry's putting in the work as soon as he gets there in a week or two, and Perry's going to get it down. Perry's going to work all summer. And when he gets into that fall camp, it might take him a game or two. And look, Perry's going to be there. The kid is a physical specimen. He is a freak. I can tell you, he just didn't put up the numbers this year because his quarterback was a sophomore. He wasn't quite ready to play 7A big boy football. We went and watched him multiple times, and my buddy is a different breed. Auburn hadn't had many of those dudes on the outside, Dustin. We haven't. It hasn't been there. Our offense has been handicapped. So it's going to be a lot more fun. It's going to be a lot more fun watching a little 10 and 11 personnel out there for Auburn this year, and you get to kind of spin it and throw it around the yard a little bit. And said he wanted to run some 10. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's just. Look, 3rd and 8, and you're in 12. It's third.
Yeah, hard living. Hard living.
It's hard, man. It's hard because you're handicapped. That's my point here. It's tough, and I know Peyton gets all of the blame, and we throw it on him because some throws weren't there last year. They weren't. That one at Texas A&M, it's still fresh in the mind. So it's fun to sit here and just kind of examine things and look at it and say, hey, well, we got guys, and it might not be like last year, Dustin. It might not be so handicapped. All right, where teams know that we're majority run, we're gonna run it. All right, and it might not be like that this year. It might be, hey, Cam Coleman, just go. Peyton, hit him. All right. You might be able to get a post to Cam and he take the top off of it. And, it's just, you didn't have that home run threat. And when I look at the offense like that and you got, Brian Battie, look, he entered the portal. He come back. He flirted with it. He come back. That was one of my bigger things of you recruited your roster back. Jeremiah Cobb, flirting, rumors were there that he was flirting with the portal. You recruited him back, got him back. Damari, you got him back. Hey, is Damari going to hit the portal? No, you got him back. He ain't going nowhere. He's locked in. So you kept all your backs. We know what they can do. So it's just all on the receivers and obviously your quarterback. And I just think it's going to be a little easier to be just in sync with each other. You're not going to see the mess, the cluster of, just not being in sync, man. It was aggravating last year. And I think Hugh talking on Derek Nix and that Mike G interview, I thought that was great. He seems a lot more comfortable and talking about his coaching staff this year. Especially, you can look on the defensive side too. I think he feels a lot more comfortable with DJ Durkin over there, and that was in the that proof was in the pudding last year, man. When everybody was Wise Crime Dog leaving and all this, and then you kind of find out, and look, that familiarity, you got to have it, and you got to be in sync. And so I like what Hugh's done, and it just. there's so much negativity, right, around Auburn football for the past couple of years, and it just feels good to get on here and be able to talk positive news and playmakers that we get out of the portal. Just thinking of a wide receiver that played at Penn State, he put up numbers, 53 catches last year. He said, hey, I'm going to go down to Auburn. What? Like, you want to come to Auburn? And everybody's like, well, it's Peyton. This guy to come to Auburn? Like, okay, crazy. I think these kids believe in what Hugh Freeze is. Maybe he's selling a dream. I don't know.
I think he has receivers that are currently doing their thing in the NFL. Plays phone calls like we've seen previously and say, hey, I know that things maybe didn't go a certain way this year down at Auburn, but trust me when I tell you that Hugh Freeze can get you in the league.
Thanks.
When you talk about how it's fun to be able to come on and just look at things and be happy, you can't overstate it because we just found out with the last guy that seeing needs and then addressing the needs is not always that easy. Hugh Freeze came out and told y'all, hey, I'm worried about depth at defensive line.
Yep.
What does he do? He's added 4 guys to my count: Trill Cardle, Gage Keys, Rakes, and Blitty. Yeah, I mean, and then you got Crawford on the edge. So, like you said, you wanted to go do this, and you did it. You saw that you needed, great, best receiving class ever, but they're all freshmen. Like 2 of them might redshirt. So what do? You go out and get some guys that everybody wanted, man. Like anybody out there that needs a receiver would have taken Robert Lewis. Anybody out there that needs a receiver would have taken Lambert Smith. And so I just seeing the needs, addressing them.
Yep.
And in today's day and age in college football, it's a whole process. That means that your NIL collective had to be in line. That means that a lot of stuff had to work out to get somebody there. So just shout out to everybody that made these last couple of portal cycles happen. I think that y'all improved the roster. And speaking about KLS, Kyle says, that's a great phrase, a chain mover. We got a couple on offense to move them chains forward and some defensive dudes to move the chains the other way. Yeah, man, we did the pod for our members looking at just this highlight tape. And, it's not some like extensive film breakdown. I acknowledge that, right? They're not going to put drops in a highlight reel. It's just a highlight tape. But of the highlights, I'll tell you what stood out. A whole lot of 3rd and longs, dude. A whole lot of 3rd and longs where he catches the ball and gets his hand down to get that extra 3 yards to get that first down. Something that Auburn desperately needs. Like, we know our struggle on 3rd down. And, the addition of Percy Lewis, man, like that one, it's not sexy because it's a tackle, but we were hearing that it was a good possibility that Tyler Johnson was going to be the guy to start at tackle because he's been awesome since he's been at Auburn, right? Well, here's the thing. He's a freshman. He would have been he would have been a redshirt freshman starting at tackle. Now, what would you rather have? Would you rather have the redshirt freshman who's got a lot of talent and you're excited about? Would you rather have him starting at tackle? Or would you rather get a year out of Percy Lewis and then hopefully blow out the New Mexico States this time and let Tyler get those reps, right? And let him get another year under his belt because we know down on that LOS, son, that it just is grown men down there. So obviously we all would take the second scenario, and it just addressing the needs, man, seeing them. This is what I got to do, going and getting them. Good on them. You got anything before we get out of here, Blake? I got a couple more comments.
No, I just see Daniel down here at the bottom saying Auburn is up 6-5 in baseball. Wow, they come back. They were down like 5-0. I think they gave up 5 runs in the first, battled back. So yeah. But look, man,
don't blow it.
No blow it. Yeah, it's been frustrating, man. But yeah, I think you just really looking at what you did since that game and how everything was just kind of crashing down, it seemed like. People around the country, will Auburn ever get back? Auburn's a basketball school. And you come out and you keep continuing to put pressure and on these kids to, hey, come to Auburn. Why not Auburn? And you did that. You got the guys to come in at the positions you needed, and you're still recruiting 4 and 5-star guys. So out of the high school ranks. So, I think it's going to be a fun year. I do. I think we're going to have a lot of fun this year. Are we going to take our lumps? Yeah, we're going to take our lumps. We're gonna get beat, and this fan base is going to be just how do we lose that game? And hey, look, all right, it's patience. It's patience. We gotta be patient here. And look, I just need Peyton to be accurate. I just need Peyton to not turn the ball over. I don't need the pick sixes like against Vandy and Maryland. And, I just need you to, hey, it's going to be spread out a little bit this year. That's why I do believe that Rivaldo is going to absolutely eat in the passing game. I think that middle of the field is going to be an absolute treasure for him this year. And just protect the football, brother. And keep being you. I like what I've seen from Peyton this offseason. It looks 10 times more comfortable just in the town and in the media. So it's hard. Look, I want to get on here, Dustin, and I want to be A+, 100%. We're going 12-0, and we're going to play in the college football playoff, and we're going to Atlanta to play in the SEC championship game. But I think we're slowly getting back to being able to say, hey, Auburn football is you're going to have to respect us. You're going to have to respect us. So, that's where I'm at with this. And I think this coaching staff, they put in the work, and you got the fans excited. You got us excited. You got us. We're pumped. We're pumped to get back in Jordan-Hare, and so. That's what I'm really hyped about. I can't wait. When Auburn runs through that smoke, that's the best thing in my opinion in sports. So,
yeah, I like on the Mike G interview, whenever he got asked about Derek Nix, he said, "Well, there was a clause in Derek Nix's contract where he's supposed to be calling the plays," and Hugh said, kind of smiled and said, "He is primary play caller." Auburn, I like that, man. Auburn is never going to win without a little bit of bending here and a little bit of bending there. You show me a time where Auburn's been successful and there ain't been a little bit of something going on behind the scenes. That's why, Blake, I'm not going to get too far down this road tonight. Okay, we'll address it as more news comes. But maybe if you got defensive linemen getting in trouble and that kind of thing, it's not always necessarily a bad thing. We need some dogs, man. We need some dogs is what I'm saying. I like the comment you put in the group chat. That made me laugh. Go in the group chat. Y'all know what we're talking about. I was like, kind of.
Hey, become a member. Become a member. That right there, I tell you, you're missing out on the game day group chat. When I saw it, I was like, at first, before I heard everything that went on, whatever. All right. I said, hey, this is great. All right. This is great. we got cats getting arrested.
Let's go, dude.
Yeah, we're back, baby. We are back,
Yeah. If I see the words NCAA investigation, brother, I'm coming off this 6-6, 7-5. I'm going straight 11-1, 12-0. If I see the words NCAA or FBI investigation, then I'm predicting a deep run, bro. The Tigers thrive with a little bit of controversy, man.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, y'all, please hit that like button. Please subscribe. A good crowd. A lot of y'all saw Devin in here saying that she didn't even know we were going live tonight. Hey, look, I get it. It's not a night that we're in there a lot, but we do appreciate you getting them hellions down, as you called them. I didn't call them that. You called your kids hellions. Appreciate you getting them down and getting here and joining us. Brett asked, what's the deal with Malik Autry? I think he's visited every damn Power 4 school out there. I don't feel like he's committed. Man, he seems pretty locked in. It's just he's a high four-star defensive lineman that can get after the passer and stop the run. Ain't a school in the country that doesn't want Malik Autry, brother. So he's taking them visits and everything, but I haven't heard anything that should make you feel otherwise. I know that you never like to see it when guys are doing that, but listen, it goes both ways. Yeah. It goes both ways. This business is cutthroat, man. Cutthroat. With the addition of NIL and portal and all that, and it's not necessarily playing into Malik's situation per se, but it's cutthroat out here, bro. You could be
No doubt.
you could be committed to a school, and then the day before it comes time for you to sign that letter of intent, they might say, "Hey, man, never mind. We got a call from a guy that was really higher than you on the board, or pulling the scholarship," and then you're out there, and it's cutthroat out here. Okay, kids can move across the country, play for the team for a year, and then get told, "Hey, bro, you ain't part of the plans in the future. You got to bounce." So, I just say all that to say, like, if you're Malik, building relationships is not a bad thing. He's enjoying the process, but I think he's going to be a part of the class. He was the first kid committed in this class. He's kind of been a foundation of it. So, and I haven't heard anything otherwise. So I think Malik's, I think he's locked in, man.
Yeah, ain't nothing wrong with taking some vacations. They get the nice treatment and everything. So live it up and enjoy it.
Brett, it works at Georgia. That's all we're saying. It works at Georgia. And in my experience with Auburn, there's no dubs coming if there's no controversy. We've been squeaky clean for 3 years. And where's that got us?
Yeah.
5-7, 6-7. It ain't no fun, dude. It ain't no fun. I got to be checking my phone every couple hours to find out if my quarterback's eligible or not in order for Auburn to have a good season, bro. Apparently, that's just the way it rolls. But look, man, good crowd. Appreciate all y'all joining those memberships. If you have not, working on some cool stuff for you guys this week. Hope you all enjoyed the last one. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you have not. War Damn Eagle, and we'll be back Tuesday night at 7 p.m.
War Damn, baby.